Hey guys, it's Sonny here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're going to be doing a new video type on the channel. We're going to be looking at some random back issues that I have. Well, these aren't really random, but that's kind of the idea for this series. It's going to be called Sunday Back Issues. So every once in a while on a Sunday, I'll read some back issues, or maybe I'll read them during the week and then I'll review them on Sunday. And it's just going to be like random stuff that I have, because I have a bunch of random like issue ones and random issues from a bunch of different runs. So I want to talk about them. I don't want to just leave them there. So that's what this, video concept is about. So today we're actually going to be looking at this new initiative by Marvel called the Free Marvel Must-Haves. So here's the first one from March, and this is the one from April. And as far as I understand it, it seems like for a while, I'm not really sure how long, at the beginning of every month, Marvel is going to be releasing one of these anthologies that covers 3 different issues to kind of entice you to get into reading these books, right? So the first one was Spider-Man versus Deadpool, plus Ms. Marvel, the New Mutant, plus The Mighty Thor #2. And then the second one here was Uncanny Avengers #1, then Captain America #3, and then Daredevil #2. And I think they should have changed the order there. It should have been Uncanny Avengers and Daredevil, then Captain America, but whatever, it's fine. There you go. And these are just kind of quite interesting, like conceptually. Like, I'm not really much of a Marvel reader. I like the concept of Marvel, and I like some of their stories, but usually I feel like they're too continuity heavy, and they don't really reset all that often, and so it's kind of hard to kind of follow, right? Compared to something like DC, where, DC has problems. Everyone complains about them rebooting all the time, especially, after the New 52. But the Dawn of DC initiative that they had last year has actually been quite helpful for me, because I've been able to get into different books and different characters that I hadn't gotten into before, and kind of enjoying their stuff, because it's not necessarily completely restarting, but it does give you a starting point. And I think that that's quite valuable. And that's more or less what these kind of hope to achieve, right? These stories are not necessarily self-contained, but they're kind of pretty clearly like good parts of the story, and also kind of like meaningful moments to kind of tell you where the characters are now. And I actually quite like that. I think that that's cool. Did it really entice me to get any of these books? No, not really. But I was quite happy with them. I really enjoyed reading these. Specifically for this first volume, I found the interaction between Spider-Man and Deadpool to be quite funny. Not necessarily my favorite, because I think it's a bit over the top, but pretty enjoyable. It does kind of have this very like Deadpool movie-esque vibe to it, and I really enjoy that. But really, the stuff that was quite good here was actually these 2 volumes back here. This one is a pretty cool introduction to Kamala Khan, and the new kind of like post-mutant like discovery, I guess, mutant gene discovery that she had, and she's trying to infiltrate this school. And it worked out pretty nicely. Based on the few episodes I saw of Ms. Marvel, this is kind of more or less in that vein. It's also done by the girl that plays her, so that makes sense. It was quite enjoyable. She kind of ties in with the X-Men here at some point, and I think that that's cool too. The artwork is pretty phenomenal. However, the staples aren't big enough, and so I actually had issues where they were like kind of too tight, and so they were ripping the paper up, and I had to go and use some tape to fix up this so it wouldn't fall apart. But it was quite enjoyable, and the art style is pretty cool and interesting. However, I think that the best part of this book was actually the Immortal Thor #2, I think. Yeah, #2. This was phenomenal. It was great. It was Thor fighting against another thunder god. He explains that he recently got a hold of the Odin Force, now the Thor Force, and now he's fighting against the Thor of Utgard, I think, which is actually this god character called Toranos. Very cool. It reminds me of that one Donny Cates story, God Country. It has that kind of vibe, like the way that this character works and the way that, Thor is fighting against him reminds me a lot of Donny Cates' God Country. And look at that, that looks phenomenal. That's so awesome. And it's a really interesting, you know, concept here about this idea that Thor has to fight against another lightning god, right? And then there's kind of this really interesting twist, or you know, I guess you could call it like cliffhanger at the end, where Thor has to beg Loki for help, and Loki asks him 3 questions, and when he answers correctly, Loki awakens a certain aspect of himself, this aspect of the god of storytelling, and he kind of has to look over Thor while he's in the Odin sleep. And it's very good because you're like, is he gonna succeed? Is he gonna not? Is Loki gonna betray him? What the hell's gonna go? What the hell's gonna happen, right? And actually, I was pretty close to going down to my local comic book store and trying to see if I could find some of these issues. You know, one of the guys there constantly tells me that it's really good, and I have now figured it out. It is quite enjoyable. The Immortal Thor run is pretty awesome, right? So, yeah, and then it tells you back here, you know, where you can find these books collected into trades, which is also pretty phenomenal. So overall, I think this is a great initiative. However, I wonder who's actually taking care of the cost here, right? Because if you guys aren't aware, Free Comic Book Day is not actually free. It's free for, you know, people that go to the retailer, people, you know, like me, customers, but the retailers themselves have to pay for those books, right? And so small retailers probably don't get too many of them, whereas big retailers manage to get a ton of them, right? And so I wonder, you know, is Marvel actually giving these out for free completely, or, you know, is my local comic store having to eat up the cost? And if they are, how much does it cost? Because it's 3 books worth of content, right? Like that is, you know, conceptually $12 to $15, right? So who's paying for that? Who's gonna eat up the cost of that, right? I could ask, but I'm not sure that that's okay to ask, right? So I don't know. But if Marvel is giving out for free, which I doubt, I think it's phenomenal. If they're not giving out for free, it kind of sucks, but I am enjoying that they made this possible, right? So I don't know. It's a kind of an interesting conundrum, I guess. And then the second one is actually less good, in my opinion. I think that first one was phenomenal. It really started really, really great. And I think that this is because the stories here are a little bit more steeped in continuity, or kind of doing things that I just don't really understand at all. Like, you know, most of that stuff is pretty simple and I can kind of follow. But here, the Uncanny Avengers issue is basically the start of the fall of the X-Men or something, where Captain America is teaming up with a bunch of different X-Men to try to deal with Captain Krakoa and Orcus and stuff. And it was pretty interesting, but you know, I lack knowledge of the Krakoan era of X-Men, so I really don't know what the hell's going on. It just feels a lot like a few scenes from different X-Men movies that I've seen, right? So yeah, but the character selection was pretty good. I liked that. I thought it was cool. And then the Daredevil story, I was pretty bored with. Daredevil is this like father. He runs an orphanage, and the children in the orphanage are being harassed by the police. And then it kind of seems like there's the start of a new gang coming up, and you know, Daredevil has to deal with it, but he doesn't really know what's going on. And so I can't say that I'm all that interested in this story, especially because at the end of it, it turns out that Ben Urich, who I think works at the Daily Bugle with Peter, is trying to take down Matt Murdock, even though they're friends. And so, like, I don't understand this relationship, so I don't really care. And then the last one here, the Captain America story. I don't get it. I don't know what it's about. I don't understand what the hell's happening here. And I tried to read it, but I was just like, okay, this is all mumbo jumbo. I have no clue what any of this is. But there was this pretty interesting kind of concept here that I liked, which was, you know, young Captain America, steroids, was at this Nazi rally trying to tell them that they're wrong, right? Kind of interacting with them. He gets beat up because of it. And then these Italian mobsters take him in, and they're like, you know, we understand, you know, kind of what you're doing, and we appreciate it. But then there's these like weird, like crazy, like, you know, situations happening that kind of don't have anything to do with that flashback. So I don't really get it. And I don't like the artwork either. So I was just very uninterested in this issue. So this was a little bit lackluster compared to the first edition, but it was interesting. The other thing is that apparently you can get more of these issues for free if you scan this, and I'm not going to, so if anyone wants to scan it, feel free, go for it. But yeah, I don't know. This is less good than the first one, but I think that that's just going to be kind of what happens with these special collector issues, or, you know, collected edition issues, or whatever. The must-have issues are just going to have this problem, right? Because not everything that I'm going to read in them is going to be interesting. And sometimes I'm not going to be sure about that, right? But because they're free, it's like basically no risk to me. But again, I wonder who's actually taking up the cost for it. I'm sure it's a comic book stores, because that just seems like the thing to do, but who knows, right? So yeah, that's the end of this first Sunday back issue. So yeah, let me know what you thought. Is this a good idea? Is this bad? Do I need to change the presentation to make it different from some of my other videos? Let me know down below. I'm curious to see what you guys think. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys later.